Hi, Sherry. Can anyone hear me? This is Susan Jepson speaking. Sherry, can you hear me? It's Susan speaking. Let's see. Click on CC on the green share bar. Hide captions. Click on CC on the black margin of the. I think they're there. Hi, Karen. Wondering who that was. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can, Julie, you can hear me? Okay.
Hi, yes,
Hi, welcome.
thank you.
I'm discovering that if somebody doesn't have their picture on, with some of these changes they've just made in Zoom, I can't see them. I can see that they're here, but I can't see them. But you have your camera on, so. And Karen has her camera on, so we can see her hobbling in her crutches, you poor thing.
If you go to the top right corner, you can see the word view, and then if you
Yeah.
click that, you uncheck the box that says hide non-video participants. So you wouldn't want that checked, and then you'd be able to see everyone.
Oh, you're so smart. Thank you. I actually, what I had to do was check show non-video participants. Thank you so much. Now I can see Sherry. I knew Sherry was here, but
No problem.
thank you. Problem solved.
Sometimes we
They've made a lot of changes, but yeah. And I think that is one of them, because I used to just be able to see phone, or camera on. Hello. Can everyone see the closed captions?
It says it's enabled, but I'm not. Oh, I guess I could hit show closed captions and I would be able to
If you
see it.
wanted to, I just wanted to know that, make sure they were coming through. So. Okay, we'll wait a couple more minutes here. Beautiful day, another beautiful day in the neighborhood, huh?
They're gonna pick us up at the corner. You know, usually, well, when they come to the house.
I think we're expecting everyone. I don't know of any non-coming. Karen, did you hear any no's from anybody?
Susan, I can't hear you at all, and I see your mouth moving.
Oh,
I can hear Susan.
I can hear you. And I know I did not hear from anybody, and I just logged off of my work email, so nobody is.
okay, yeah, I didn't see any. Sherry, did that change anything? Oh, you can't hear me. Did you hear the other, can you, Julie, could you ask her if she heard you?
Sherry, could you hear me? Doesn't look like it.
I don't think she can hear anybody.
The sound should.
Can you hear us now, Sherry?
Apparently not. Hi, Christina.
Hey there.
No.
Bless you.
Hi, Jim. We can't hear you.
Oh, now I can hear everybody. My.
You
speakers-
okay?
Yeah, for a
Good.
while there, I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, because everyone was talking to you and you weren't responding, so. Hello, Jim, welcome.
Thank you very much. You can hear me?
Yes,
That's good.
wait just a couple more minutes, but we do like to start on time. I don't like to. I want to make sure everybody's time gets well respected. So when you just came on, each of you, did you see a notice that said this meeting was being recorded? You did, okay. Okay. Thank you, because I did the startup today, and that's one of the steps is to make sure that participants know that, but I don't do it very often, so I just wanted to check.
Mhm.
So if you ever, especially the new board members, if you ever want to go back and listen to listen to old meetings, you can find a way to do that if you'd like, but I wouldn't recommend it. But they do exist, the archives.
It would be helpful if you end up being the note taker and you have to confirm something.
Well, that's true. That's true. Absolutely. Okay, well, we have a quorum, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. And hopefully others will join on and with us because we're expecting everyone. So I'm Susan Jepson and I'm, some of you I know, but a special welcome to Jim and Julie, who are new board members. Not that Sherry and Christina are old board members, but they're already board members, so.
Mhm.
1 month.
1 month, yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
this is your second meeting, and Christina, how long for you? Few months.
It's just about a year.
Is it really? Wow, that goes fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, the first item on the agenda, as you probably see, is public comment, but it appears we have no public with us, so there's nobody to comment. And Julie and Jim, to put you on the spot, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit to us? And we'll do the same to you.
Very good. I could go, Julie, unless you would like to go first.
Oh, you got it, Jim.
Thank you. Do I need to do something before I speak, or I can just speak as is now? And
No, just speak. Yep.
okay, very
We
good.
don't have any spotlights or sound effects or anything, so just
Okay.
speak.
So my name is Jim Moran. I've lived in Wakefield for about 25 years now. And I continue to work. I'm a psychotherapist in private practice here in Wakefield. And I do that. I'm not sure if there's much more that would be helpful, but that's my where I am.
What is your interest in the Council on Aging? What motivated you?
Well, to try to do something that contributes to the town a bit. For a while, I was involved with WAVE, the Wakefield Alliance Against Violence, and haven't done that for a few years, but felt like I wanted to do something, to contribute in some way. And I kept seeing that in the item requests for volunteers, so that I thought, well, I can at least volunteer and see if I can be useful to be part of a meeting and to help out. And I know very little about what I'm about to do here, or what we're doing, what we're launching in. So I'm eager to learn.
Thank you. Okay, well, thanks for coming on board.
Welcome.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Jim, does your clientele tend to be in one age group or another?
It's pretty widespread.
Okay.
I used to see a lot of children, but now it's primarily adults and couples, the groups that I see the most.
Because I was just wondering if we bring experience to us from helping seniors.
I have a few seniors that I work with in my practice, but I think I'm going to learn more than I have to bring and share right now. So
Well, you never know. We all have something to learn and we all have something to teach, so thank you.
Thank you.
Julie,
Hey
welcome.
everyone, my name is Julie Brown. I have lived in Wakefield with my husband for about 3 years, going on 4. I am an insurance broker. I work with property and casualty insurance. I am a first-time mom. I just had a baby in January, so I'm still on
Oh,
maternity leave for a couple
congratulations.
more weeks. Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I was interested in the council a few years ago and then got pinged back into it. My bachelor's degree is in sports medicine, and I did a lot of work with the aging population. I was an activity coordinator at a nursing home in Andover for my time in undergrad, and I really enjoyed that. I also worked a few physical therapy, occupational therapy jobs with older adults. And so I'm very interested in all of the physical activity that the council coordinates for the population in town. I think that it's great work, and I hope to be able to, enjoy my time here on the council and hopefully help and listen, like Jim said, and see what we can do.
Great, thank you very much. Well, welcome to both of you. Do you want to just give a brief, Sherry, just be brief, kind of,
Okay.
you just got here a month ago, so
Okay.
introduce yourself to Jim and Julie.
I actually retired on December 31st. After my most recent career was, I had a company that managed trade associations, all kinds of membership groups, trade associations, professional societies. So I have a lot of experience working with volunteers and governments, but I've also been a teacher. I've been a learning specialist. I'm also on the Human Rights Commission, so I'm a dual volunteer in the town. And I am having a wonderful time not working. And a lot of it is because of the senior centers. I find wonderful activities between Tai Chi, Spanish, painting classes, all kinds of things. So,
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you. Christina?
Hi, I'm Christina Del Croce, and I started my career as an occupational therapist. So that is where my passion for geriatrics, definitely not pediatrics, is not my thing. And that was my specialty, was dementia care when I practiced as an OT. I still work in healthcare. I'm an executive with a very large primary care organization where I manage our network of hospitals and nursing homes. And it's been same thing, lived here for 25 years and wanted to get back to the town.
Thank you. Thank you. Joanne?
Joanne,
Joanna?
yes.
I don't, I,
Can you hear me?
yep.
Good. All right, I've been in Wakefield for about 31 years now, and I started my career working over at Addison Wesley in Reading. I don't know if any of you remember that. I was in sales, and then I progressed to becoming a technical trainer. And along the way, I've always been a fitness instructor part-time. And I recently became a CNA, so I've been helping out sick people, not all old people, but people with diseases like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and rehab, people coming out of rehab. And so I've been working with the elderly population and the people with illnesses for about 3 years now. And I teach senior fitness classes. I teach regular fitness classes. And I think I've been on the board now for maybe a year, or at least a year. So I'm not brand new to it. And like all of you, I have an interest in seeing our Council on Aging continue to improve and get better.
Thanks, Joanne. Thank you. Karen, I'm gonna let you go last. I'll just say, I think I'm the senior, not in terms of just longevity. I'm in my second term on the board. And I live in Wakefield, of course, but I came on the board a few years ago because for several years, I'm a Shine counselor now, among other things. Shine counselors are people that help with Medicare and Medicaid with our senior population and as a Social Security, disability, et cetera. And I did my my site, if you will, to do that work was the Wakefield Council on Aging. So I would be at the Wakefield Council at Senior Center at least one day a week doing Shine counseling. That was before Karen came on board. And I'm still a Shine counselor, but now I work virtually. I work over the phone and sometimes on FaceTime or Zoom with people. But my career has been workforce development, but for the last 20 years or more, it's been focused on older workers, assisting, figuring out ways to bring older workers into the workforce or keep them in the workforce with good jobs, equity, and part of the whole diversity look of as we look at how workforces are made up and the value of older workers, et cetera. So that's me at the moment. Karen, you want to introduce yourself? I know everyone knows you, but.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Karen. I'm the director at the Senior Center, so the director of the Council on Aging. I've been here for a year now this month. I came to Wakefield from Melrose through Wakefield. I started as a veteran service officer part-time in Wakefield in the Senior Center. And then I went over and did a full-time veterans job in Melrose and came back to Wakefield when Judy retired. So I'm very happy to be here and look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. Sounds like we have a lot of talent, a lot of passion, a lot of great skills that are coming forward, knowledge. So I look forward to working as a newly forming group as well. The minutes came out this afternoon, or I got mine this afternoon, and those of you that weren't at the meeting, actually, who was at the meeting besides me and Karen? And Sherry, you were here, that's right, and Christina. So you read them. Did everyone see the minutes, at least get a chance to look at them for 5 seconds? Okay, thanks. Are there any comments or changes before we get a motion to accept them? Thank you, Karen, for doing them. I'll do these minutes today. until we elect somebody later. Any comments on the minutes or questions from the new people? Okay. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes as written then?
Motion to accept.
Thank you, Sherry. Second. Christine,
Second.
yeah,
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. All right, minutes are accepted as written. We have a financial report that Karen will give us.
So I sent back to everyone, no concerns with the financial report. We are on track for our end of year spending. The end of the fiscal year is June 30th, so we're getting there, but we're on track for everywhere we need to be with salaries, the biggest one, watching the driver schedule, but everything looks good.
Okay, and with this, oh, we have to accept that separately. I have to say, I didn't see a copy of it, so if it went out, I didn't see it, but did anybody get a financial report? You did, okay, something's weird with my email today.
It was a little later today, so maybe you just
Okay.
missed it.
Yeah, no, well, I got the minutes later today, so, but there's some mix up in my email with the town of Wakefield, not with, anyway. So did somebody that's seen it and was here, can someone make a motion to accept the financial report if there's no questions, or new people, do you have questions? I mean, it's, it's pretty straightforward, what the senior center spends money on, the council spends money on.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Is our budget going to be the same for this coming year?
There is a slight increase in our food line just because of the inflation cost. There's a slight increase in wages and salaries, but otherwise it was level funded.
Okay. In that case, I make a motion to accept the financial report.
Thank you. Sherry.
Before we do that, it just the April column isn't filled in again. Karen, so did you want me to help you with that?
It's not actually a column. The April should probably just be above the expenses to date. It's just, I think it's actually not
The
a column.
way it's laid out, okay.
Yeah, it's probably not even needed. I could probably just delete that.
Okay, so expenses to date is a rolling total of the year.
Yeah,
not April.
and that's how it comes out on my report as well. So I could populate it out to do April separately instead of the rolling, but if everybody's okay with the rolling, then that's how it comes out on our munis report as well.
Okay, all right.
May I ask, what is the source of funding for the council? This is a town funded project?
Primarily a town funded budget. We also have a formula grant that comes from the state that we use for some activities and we use to pay our activities director.
Mhm.
And that's given out, it's just went up to $14 per 60 and over resident that identifies on the census, and that's given out annually by the state to the towns for their councils.
I see.
Could you describe the staffing, Karen, for the people
We're a very small staff. I'm full-time. Mary Ann McPherson is my administrative personnel, and she is actually part-time council on aging, part-time veteran services. We have a 19-hour-a-week activities coordinator, a 12-hour-a-week outreach coordinator, and 2 part-time drivers that can work up to 19 hours. I did get an increase in the budget. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that, Sherry, for adding additional driving hours. So we will bring on a 3rd driver this summer so that we have a little bit more capability with rides, which is one of our bigger demands.
And what about the volunteer help? Have you gotten much help from volunteers?
We have a couple of volunteers. I'll talk a little bit more about volunteers when I go out of the financial report into the director's report when we
Yeah,
talk about the property tax work off. But we do have a couple of volunteers that were former tax work off volunteers who continue to give their time without it being a tax work off.
So you're considering the tax work up people volunteers?
I mean,
Joanne, could you just hold on to that till we come to the?
Okay.
thank you. It's a good question. It's a great question, though. All right, so we have a motion to accept the financial report. And then any second on that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, all in favor?
I
Aye.
Any objection? Thank you. Okay, and then the bottom typically has a participant report. I'm assuming that's there too.
Yes,
I-
our numbers are staying steady. We are at 1339 for programs and classes, down a little bit from March, but March was high due to the St. Patrick's party. And we finished up our AARP taxes mid-July as well, with tax season being done. It was a very successful season. They were able to see, we had 3 people, three tax preparers working for, each doing 4 appointments. So very successful. We were able to meet a large demand of people for their taxes. Leo also spent their last day with us at the end of May. They were coming every other week to help with fuel assistance. So that was wrapping up a successful season for Leo participation. But the classes continue to be very popular. The rides continue to be in high demand. So we look forward.
Could you explain
to,
why it's called Leo when you say Leo, just to,
land economic opportunity? It's the fuel assistance for low income households.
so
It's a
we,
huge help having them come in person though, because it's a complicated, long application as our most public fund type of application. So when their representatives come to us, people can file directly with them in the office. They can bring their stuff with them. They upload everything and it works out really well.
do you get a report from them when their season's over of how many people applied and how many people were successfully granted some subsidy?
We can ask for that. It's not just a senior item. So Jason
I
Stone
know.
is going to reach out and ask if they have the totals for Wakefield. We did
Okay.
reach out for the Good Neighbor Fund, and I believe it was 11 or 13 Wakefield households. But that fund continues through June or August. So if we have people who still meet the criteria for a good neighbor, then we could still take those applications.
Be interesting number to get, even combining those two of, how many people 60 and older received assistance from one of those programs. And the same thing with the, people that the circuit breaker for I don't know if the tax people give us a report, but the circuit breaker is something that for lower income people, either a portion of their rent or a portion of their property taxes can be credited on their Massachusetts taxes so that it saves them money in tax liability. So it would be interesting. I don't know if they can break that out. They probably can't, but it's something to keep an eye on, perhaps.
I can ask.
Yeah, going forward. Okay.
And we have a lot of programming in May. If you saw, hopefully you guys read our newsletter. So there's a lot of different things going on in May. We do have, with my recent injury, where I'm hoping that somebody from the board would be willing to volunteer on May 24th. We're having Eat Local with Brothers. And my activities coordinator is actually on vacation that week. So I'm able to help out to some degree, but I'm still non-weight bearing for quite some time.
Was
So
that
if
a
anybody-
Wednesday? What is that? What
It's
day?
a Wednesday, May 24th, and it starts at noon. And we're serving Brothers. I think we picked pot roast that we're going to serve. I'm not sure of our total numbers yet, but it would be nice to have an extra set of hands to help out Marianne and I serving and cleaning and doing all that.
I can be there. I'm a little limited, but I can do things. I can do things. Yeah, I'm not so sure about carrying things and serving, but I can check people in and I don't know, answer raised hands or whatever. I don't know. I'll be there, Karen.
We typically do a buffet, so we'll sit, and I could do the same. Like I could,
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
could sit in
Okay.
the chair and serve, and the most of the participants come up and get their food, and then if somebody can't, we deliver it to them. But Marianne will be there too.
I
Okay.
could probably help. I'll still be on maternity leave.
We like babies. What do you have? A boy or a girl? What do you got?
Oh boy,
A boy. Very
Yeah.
nice. What's his
Thank
name?
Cameron.
Cameron. Okay, so tentative.
Thank you both. We are back to having 2 Shine counselors. Our second Shine counselor returned from Florida, and we're very excited because she has changed now and is willing to see people in person, not just remotely.
Good.
Which is a big thing because the majority of people who called wanted to have an in-person Shine counselor. So our in-person person was always booked completely.
Yep.
So we're back to having 2 Shine counselors. That gives us a lot of access. And most importantly, as we go into open enrollment season. And those are the big things. I did finally hear back from the furniture company for the lobby chairs, and I'm going to order those. I just need clarification from accounting on if I can use some money for some of my budget money for the extra chair that to fit within the budget that we have. But good news, we should be having new lobby furniture in the next 6 to 9 months, I think it's still a very long lead time before they actually arrive after you order them, but at least there's
goodness
progress in that.
gracious.
At least
Were
we
they
have progress on the furniture front.
Have all of you had a chance to go over to the senior center and see things?
It's still on my to-do list. I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
So you'll see there's a lobby area, a library, a library lobby gathering spot. And that's, there's a real, it's sort of like going to your grandmother's house. There's a lot of mismatched, but there's a lot of chairs and places to sit, but none of them, some of them are sag. Anyway, so we have new chairs.
Well,
I
that's-
have to tell you,
that's on
it's
the way.
very homey
It is very homey.
and
isn't it?
friendly because I'm a member of 4 different senior centers because of all the different activities I've found. in different
Okay.
places. And I have to, Melrose is amazing because it's in that historic building, but no, not Melrose, Stoneham. Stoneham has an amazing view. But the other senior centers do not have that same cozy feel. and
That
aren't
warmth.
As nice, so kudos to Wakefield for having such a welcoming, pleasant place for people to meet.
Yeah, it is, you're right. It's a good thing to hear that, Jerry. It's a good thing to hear that.
And
Okay,
if I had to share, probably the last thing would be the biggest challenge that we face right now is actually space. Because we've added a lot of programming. So there are times like today, for example, we had the once a month mindful crafting going on. But because Spanish class was also going on, I couldn't put them in the art room. So they had to be in the dining room. And there's a 5-minute section that one of our exercise classes, people above are moving chairs. So that's a distraction to the people downstairs. So they're upset, but we had a dominoes group that got added at the last minute. So it's shuffling people all the time. So I had to put the dominoes people in our conference room just to try and get everybody to fit and make things work. So it's a good problem to have, but it actually is, we have to put a lot of energy or pay close attention to our scheduling now to make sure that people have the adequate space. And as we add more programming, it definitely can be a challenge to maximize programming, but not exceed the space that we have within the center.
yeah, it's a challenge. Well,
Oh,
you're
I
right.
guess one last thing I want to be excited about is we are offering a class that starts in May. It's called Walk Fit, and it's going to utilize the new fit court that's over at the Moulton Playground. And we weren't sure how it was going to go, and we have 21 people who registered to participate in the class. So I think that's a great thing. And I'm working with Katie to bring her on board to teach 1 or 2 sessions that we could offer to the general public on how to use the fit court, so that people who may be interested in using it but are intimidated by it would be able to come and take a one-time lesson of here are the different components of it, here's how you use it, without having to participate in the 8-week class that we're going to be running. So that I just have to work with her on dates this summer to set that up, look at baseball schedules and all that, because I don't want to plan it during a Little League game. But we are
So
looking
Katie
forward
is
to
the
doing that.
person that's got leading that group. Is that who Katie is? That she's,
Katie is a physical therapist with Healthy Aging Physical Therapy, and she teaches
Okay.
a couple of classes at the center.
Okay,
So it won't
okay.
be her, it'll probably be one of her staff, but through, it's a partnership with Healthy Aging Physical Therapy that we'll bring an instructor on board to teach the residents of Wakefield who would like to come out to, or residents who would like to come out to learn how to use the fit court. So hopefully increase its use somewhat. And that would be outside. The 8-week class is great. We have the 21 people, but we did want to offer something for people who don't want to commit to an 8-week class, but would like to know how to use it on their own.
yeah, excellent. Wow. Things are happening.
And
Okay.
one change for the, sorry, this is my last thing. One change for the newsletter that went out, we did put a save the date for June 7th for the art show. We are going to delay that because that it's going to be, we really want to do it right and have it be in food and beverages and an evening art show. And I don't want to try and do that when I can't be fully able to assist the small staff that we have. So we're going to delay that until September. And timing wise, we think that might be better too, because June, July, August are typically our slower months that people not as many people are out participating. I'm not sure if they're at the beach or where they are, but we do have lower participation numbers over the summer. It's kind of a busy time of year with graduations and stuff. So we're going to shoot for September.
Sounds like a good decision, especially, I mean, your recovery, how long are you not non-weight bearing, Karen?
9 more weeks today.
9 more weeks? Wow. So that's into July, right?
Yeah, and the most challenging part of that, Manning's okay with that, but it's my right leg, so I can't drive. So I'm
Yeah,
relying
yeah.
on rides, so that makes it a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, of course.
We do have, though, in case anybody forgets or wants to attend, in 2 weeks, in May, I'm forgetting the exact date, I think the 24th is our evening countdown to 65. If you know anybody who is approaching 65 out in the community, make sure we spread the word. Or even if you're not approaching 65, it's actually some pretty good information about things that you need to start thinking about when you get closer to retirement. Things that I had no idea until I started working this job that I find to be very useful. So I'm looking forward to the class.
Yeah, that's great. And it's good to see the center getting used sometimes in the
Look, the
evening.
lights up. Sorry. Sorry about that.
No, that wasn't for us?
No.
Okay. It's okay. Thank you. I thought you were responding to age 65 and things you have to do with the lights. I'm sorry, Joanne. That's
I do need to find out about those things.
okay. Okay, we don't need to vote on the director's report. I don't think. But any questions for Karen? Okay.
I would just say, Karen, that if you need help because you are non-weight bearing, like you just asked for the 24th, please reach out. I know we're all busy, but if there, it's kind of hard to do things when you can't be weight bearing. I'm sure you're getting good at it, but please just let us know if we can be helpful. I'll say that at least on behalf of me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Christina. Okay, age-friendly update discussion. I think for the newer people, I'm not sure. I know you got sent the age-friendly plan, but I'm not sure that we sent you the sort of summary, easy to digest part that Christina and Karen worked on earlier this year, or maybe at the end of last year, a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet. Does that sound familiar at all for the Wakefield age-friendly plan? With our
No.
eight areas of focus?
This one familiar to me. I have the longer version.
Okay, the longer version. All right, well, first, let me just ask if there are any questions or do you have a somewhat of a context for where the age-friendly plan came from?
Yeah, I mean, very minimal, just reading where it
Yeah.
came from here in the narrative, so I have a little bit of that. And I don't know if it's, there's other information about how this is implemented in the town. And, like at what stage it is this like hopeful that will happen in the next 2 years, or 50% of it is happening already?
That's optimistic. I think my response initially to that would be that we on this council, we're making an effort to pay attention to the 8 priority areas that were identified, and with the resources that are available, which aren't a huge amount, but with the resources are available, that much of what is going on at the senior center and what Karen and her team are doing and what we're assisting with is helping to is under the headline of some of those priority areas. We also have a town council member who's not here tonight, but who is the liaison from this group to the town council. I mean, every committee, I believe, every board in Wakefield has a liaison person. And he or she is responsible for, helping to keep the silos from becoming too silo-y and integrating what the various plans around town are, because there are a number of plans. We also, one of the things that we've asked our liaison to do is report back to us probably next month now in June on the master plan, because Wakefield's in the middle of a master planning process, which is sort of a soup to nuts plan for the next 10 years. And that's being driven by the town council. There's a consulting firm involved, and the town has spent the last 8 months, maybe even longer, 10 months, doing focus group surveys, pulling together data, sharing it with the public, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of what the age-friendly plan incorporates is making it a a town, an accessible and friendly town for all. It's not just age stuff. I mean, it is age stuff. That's our focus. But, you know, there's Julie with her baby carriage, and the sidewalks that aren't accessible are, you know, for people with baby carriages and shopping carts and crutches and whatever, you know, we want to, what's good for seniors is good for everyone. So that's a long, partially responsive answer, Jim, to your question. The answer is no, there's no master guide that's saying, okay, who's going to put this into place, and do we have the money? Where's the money going to come from for all that? That's, you know, that's not.
That could be done. I mean, there's not a proposal for, you know, certain levels of financing for meeting the age-friendly plan.
No,
No.
it's
It's
a plan without a resource. Karen, I don't know what you would say to that, but.
I don't think entirely that, because really some of it falls within departments that are already doing things. So some of it would incorporate things that we already do on a day-to-day basis at the center, like transportation. We provide rides, help people sign up for the ride. So parts of the plan are met across the different departments. So it's not its own budget line item, but it's within many departments' budgets
It's
are
addressed,
used to
yeah.
meet to make Wakefield its age-friendly it's
Mhm.
try and stay in the age-friendly plan. Part of the age-friendly designation is that it's a working plan. It's not you have to have done all of this in order to become age-friendly. It's that we have these plans in place, and these are the things that we're doing. These are the things we continue to work on to meet that age-friendly designation.
Mhm.
And I have to say that I walk everywhere, and I have noticed a great deal more warnings at crossings. Some of them are even solar with flashing lights. So I've noticed some new signs. People still don't slow down. They drive way too fast, and I'm not seeing enough traffic. I did see a traffic control today, first time in probably a year that I saw a traffic control car. But I am noticing that, and I'm sure that's part of an age-friendly town, whether you're young or old, that you can cross the street without being afraid.
I think
And that-
it's good to notice and share.
Yeah, and then, you know, that making drivers pay more notice, because this is a town where people do walk a great deal, because it's a lovely town.
Who is our liaison with the town council?
Mike McLean, is our, So-
And he walks from the train station up to his house on the west side every day.
Oh,
so
he does?
knows about, yeah. So I
Believe it-
know,
yeah.
so I know that he is probably very aware of how much safer it might be to cross some of the streets.
Well, and things, you know, even to what Karen reported to us a little while ago about bringing in another driver, because of the transportation is one of the one of the focus points of the age-friendly plan, because there isn't a lot of public transportation, you know, unless you live near Main Street. So that's another, you know, that's sort of we consider that an age-friendly activity to bring in, to be able to provide more rides as well for people. So, yeah, the thinking was that if we can get an update on the master plan, which is something that is incorporating the age-friendly plan. I mean, that core group is aware of the age-friendly plan, is tuned into the age-friendly plan. So that as the town makes big decisions about where its resources are going to go in the next 10 years and what the priorities are going to be, we're hopeful that that will be folded in as well. Some of it, not all of it, it can't be, but the things that the senior center can't handle. So the next item, update on Wakefield's master plan, we will table that till June. Because that Mike was going to give us that. Okay, review the bylaws and board guide. Are we ready to move on to that? Are you okay with that? Moving on. All right. Did you all get a chance to read the bylaws? It came out the other day. No, Christina, not yet. Okay, Joanne, not yet. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it because it's the truth. You heard me say before that I'm on my second term. This is the first time that I've seen the bylaws. So I'm not saying that as a criticism of anybody, but I'm just saying that as wow, I'm so glad that now we have them. And that we, that we have them, they've been distributed, and I'm gonna ask that everyone, please, they're 3 pages, it's only 3 pages. So if you get a opportunity before the next meeting to go through them again.
I have a question, as a new person. I know that for the HRC, the Human Rights Commission, we have a little bit more robust way of onboarding new people, making sure that they have a toolkit and packages, and we even put together a PowerPoint that the script can be changed any way you want, but the graphics for 15-20 minutes stay the same. And I think it's valuable. I've certainly done this with all my volunteer groups and my membership groups, to have some sort of packet or procedure when someone new comes on, so they know what's going on. And one of those things is everybody right away gets the bylaws. Everybody right away gets the age-friendly plan, and they get some kind of description of what would be, like, I don't know what's expected of me. If someone said, well, what are you going to be doing? I said, still don't know. It seems like I sort of just vote for and approve things that Karen and her staff develop for us. I said, I'm not sure. So I think it would be a really good thing. And as a news person, I would really appreciate that as well. And I did read the bylaws, and they're not very different from the bylaws of any other group in town.
Right,
Plus, they are on the Council on Aging's page on the town website. Those bylaws are posted.
well, shame on me that I never found them, I never looked for them, so, yeah, that's good to know, Sherry, thank you.
Yeah,
And
it says that this edition of the bylaws was revised in 2017. Is there like a reason that is it being revised? Are there like major issues that are up for decision-making about the bylaws, and should they be modified in any way? Or is it just, this is what works for us and here it is?
Well,
I would say it
this-
was discovered that we really weren't, they weren't in our loop of information. And last month we had 2 people completing their terms and going off. One of whom was our recording secretary. And we realized that, well, wait a minute, we should be looking at these bylaws to see what the procedure is to replace somebody when they go, not to replace a board member, that's the town does that, you that just came on. But what is our election process, or what is our process? And then there's still an ongoing question about what time do we meet? Prior to the pandemic, we met at 7 in person, but since we haven't been able to meet in person, we went on Zoom during the pandemic, we came to 6:30, and has been some discussion about, is that still what we want to do? How many meetings a year? So the direct answer to your question is no, there's not necessarily an intent to revise them, but there's an intent to become familiar with them and see if they work for us, because it has been 6 years.
Understood.
As somebody who specialized in that in my working career, I'd be very happy to take a really good look at them and make suggestions. For instance, you do not put specific times for meetings in
Right, I know,
bylaws.
yeah.
It's a procedure, it's
Right,
not a
right.
bylaw. So
Right.
if that's in there, that has to be out. Things
No, it's
like
not in there.
voting electronically, some bylaws didn't have that because we weren't doing that previously. So I'd be happy to look it over, and next meeting come and say, gee, they're fine the way they are, or here's a couple of places I think we can update. So you can put me down as a volunteer for that.
Thank you, Sherry. I think you're,
Can I also ask a question though, Susan? Since that, I apologize, I slammed these days, but is there a recommendation, I don't know, that's a requirement, to review and approve them each year? And that's what you kind of do with policies and procedures, or 2017 sounds a little dated. And we've had COVID, and we've,
Pre-COVID.
pre-COVID. So maybe I think that's a great idea, Sherry, if you could take a draft at it, and then, just see if there is anything that maybe just needs to be refreshed.
And usually we don't do bylaw reviews every year. It's usually every 5 years, let's say.
Okay.
It's usually, and with groups that do strategic planning, it's usually comes within their strategic plan, they set a date for it. But you don't change them because that would be very disruptive if you were constantly changing the rules for them.
That's
So-
true. That's true. One of our members is, one of the members of this group is Maureen Hickey, who is director of the Wakefield Housing Authority, and they have bylaws. So I wonder, Sherry, I can't volunteer her in her absence. I'd like to kind of put the possibility out there of a consult, because I know they have some kind of, both for the orientation and for the review, there might be some cross-fertilization of ideas that could be useful, could be helpful. So do you mind if I send her an email?
Not at all. I will tell you though, I'm gonna be gone for the next week and I am
Okay.
running that big AAPI event we're having at the end of
Right,
March.
okay.
So,
Well, you don't have to
this-
come back to us in June. You can come back to us in July.
okay,
Okay. If that's,
and you know, we might want to have a procedures manual, something just the bulleted points, this is how we do things that we hand out as well.
well, let's
so-
start with the bylaws and the
Okay.
idea of an onboarding. I like that a lot as well.
That took a lot of work.
Yeah, well, like even
Really a
simple
lot.
onboarding, just a
Yeah.
pack. Karen, do you have anything you want to say? Want to jump over you here about the bylaws and what we're talking about?
I think that's a great plan and that's great help that the board could give to take things off of my plate, which is much needed and appreciated. So yeah, I love the idea of the onboarding. It's not something I can take on right now. So if somebody in the board wants to take that on, I think that would be
Yeah.
a nice, I mean, I sent out the stuff that we have, but I don't have the bandwidth right now to be able to create an onboarding package, but I do like the idea. I think it is a nice way to welcome a new member, to know what the role of the COA board is and how we work together.
As
Are
an
there,
HR person, I'd be more than happy to work on that part too. I mean, I feel like, I can contribute there, the bylaws. Not so much. I'm sorry, Joanne, were you gonna say something?
I tried to say something there, but it's sort of like around the idea of are there identified priorities for the Council on Aging that that we need to pay attention to? I think it's easy to get stuck in reviewing the bylaws and do that for a long time.
Right, no, we won't do that for a long time.
But
but
are
you're
there
right.
other, again, in general, other things, as a new person who doesn't really know, where do we turn first? That would be something I'd be looking for.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I second that idea. that Having our priorities. I know I should know this, but what is the best place to find the bylaws, the most current ones to review?
They got sent out a little while ago. I can resend them to you. They got sent to us, but also Sherry just told us they're on the town website under the Council on Aging.
Okay, I'll
But
look at the,
I'll resend, I'll send them out to everyone. And there's a much longer handbook for town, which is a bunch of, I was gonna say it's a bunch of verbiage, that if you want to, you can skim through, but the more important for me anyway, the more important thing is what's the purpose of the COA and also COA board, and what are the bylaws say, because that's what we need to get something done about, because
Can I just add to what Jim was saying, though? I mean, I've only been here a year, but my impression and really our role is to support Karen and her team to be able to give the best that they can to our town and the communities. Karen does a lot of cross-town workshops and whatnot, and to support the finances, make sure nothing is askew, and be supportive when she identifies needs. So, and then occasionally volunteer, in full transparency, and it's actually fun. So she's got a great team and a great group, and people are really appreciative, as Sherry mentioned. So, but I also think it's for us to be advocates for, on behalf of the town, for the work and supporting seniors. I would say though, the age friendly, as Susan reminds us, isn't just about seniors. It's about all ages. And, probably we should take a look at that again and update it with what you have. I'm sure you have other stuff to add to that, but that's my humble opinion in the past year. And so it's not a lot to do, but I think it's more to guide and support, as typically boards do.
Mhm.
Thank you, Christina. Nice summation. We do, this is the month, May, is when we do need to, our bylaws as they read now require elections. And the two roles that have been electable roles are the chair and the secretary. The secretary's or clerk, I guess it's called clerk, is to take minutes and distribute those minutes in advance of the next meeting primarily, keep a record and make sure they get filed, so that the minutes are also available to the town. And there's a process for all that. There's been discussion or Karen and I had a little discussion about whether or not both of those roles might be best served with co-chairs or co-clerks. And so I'm going to put it out there as a possibility and ask people what they think. The point of the purpose of co-clerks would be to, maybe to rotate and or to have a backup person when somebody's not available, if somebody can't come to a meeting. The co-chair or vice chair, whatever, the co-chair would be to, get people more involved, truthfully, to get people more involved, have a role, have some opportunity to participate, not just come to meetings and vote on things, but also to sort of, with Karen's, in consultation with Karen, drive the agenda also. So, and run meetings, if one of us wasn't able to be here, run the meeting. So
Is that kind of like being the vice chair?
I get, yeah, that would be another way to put it, Joanne.
Mm-hmm.
And Susan, I did like your idea when we talked about it, about having like the chair, the vice chair, co-chair, however we want to word it, and then the clerk, and that if the clerk wasn't available for a meeting, the vice chair could step in as
The vice
clerk
chair could do that too, yeah, good stuff.
for positions for a 7-member board. So I think
Yeah.
maybe the 2 positions is more realistic for a small board, but that's just my 2 cents. I'm totally open for whatever the board
Yeah,
wants.
that would work too, But there are times when the clerk can't be here, like I'm doing these minutes right now, can't you tell? So I'm gonna have to listen to the meeting to do them, and that's okay, that's fine. But, so I don't know, any feelings or thoughts one way or another about having a chair, I'll put it out there, chair, vice chair, and a clerk. And the vice chair would serve in the role of clerk if the clerk was not at the meeting.
And serve as in the role of chair if the chair couldn't be
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the meeting.
Yeah,
I have one question about this. Basically, I feel like whoever is next most senior person would be the most logical person to chair because they know the most about what's going on. But I've been a vice chair, right, this past year, and if you're a proactive person, it's very helpful because everybody has a life with lots of responsibilities. And if you have a vice chair who's willing to say, if you're away or too busy, I will step in and help you. And I think it's a really important backup. And I'm always willing to take minutes if you need somebody.
now, I thought you were chair now, Sherry, are you chair now? Of the Human Rights Commission? You're on mute.
No, I'm vice chair, but I'm the
Vice chair,
most,
okay.
but they're having a meeting next week when I am going to be away, so who knows what's going to happen in my absence. There's not very many senior returning people, so I don't know. It's not an ascension where you're vice chair, you become chair.
Yeah,
I was just very
yeah.
willing to work on that this year and also on a lot of major programming. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll see what happens.
Okay, I thought you were chair.
I'm hoping it's somebody else. I've been secretary treasurer, which was a combined role, and I have been vice chair. But I think having a co-chair, a vice chair is a great idea and would really help everybody.
I think it's a great idea. So are you saying we need to vote on that this month? Is that what you were
Yeah,
saying?
our bylaws say elections are in May.
Okay.
And it, it seems like, yeah, and let's, I mean, there's a certain amount of thinking about deliberation, but my own thinking is let's get started with, let's put a model in place, and if it doesn't work, we can always revise it. That's, rather than
Yeah.
spend a lot of time thinking about.
Who is the current chair? Is that you, Susan?
Yeah, that's me. You can't tell, Jim, come on.
Well, I mean, you're running the meeting. I can see that, but I didn't know if you were in.
Yeah, I am, and I've been the chair
Wow.
for 1 year. And I basically, it was sort of like this meeting last year, somebody said, oh, I think, because the chairperson was going off the board. And somebody said, oh, I think Susan wants to do it, or I think Susan should do it, or something to that effect, and that's how it happened, pretty much, I gotta tell you. But, I do have some leadership experience, but
I
still,
think it's helpful with both that leadership experience and then experience on the council, so that I mean, whether or not you want to do that or would be willing to do that, I think some person with that kind of experience would be maybe a good choice to have, someone who kind of had a more of a sense.
So are you interested to stay on, Susan?
I am interested, Karen was new about the same time last year, so it's, Judy and her team did a tremendous amount of stuff for the city, for the town of Wakefield. Karen and her team are, moving us forward in a robust way, and it's an exciting time to be here, I feel.
Great.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job, Susan, and I do hope you are willing and looking forward to continuing as chair, so.
Thank you, Joanne. Yeah, I would like to continue. I mean, I would, but I'd like the idea of a vice chair as well, very
Yeah.
much.
Good idea.
I'd be willing to step up as a vice chair if you'd like. I know you have to vote, but.
Well, we could put forth a slate of nominees. I think that's what we can do when we identify people who are going to be put forward, and if there's a competition, but we can put forward a slate. Thank you,
Right.
Christina. Yeah, and Christina, as I said earlier, just to remind everyone, Christina did a lot of work with Karen in the fall, in late fall, about distilling the age-friendly plan. So that, and putting it into a much more digestible format, which I'm going to send out to all of you. But that was a big step for this group, and we, for a variety of reasons, we haven't done a whole lot of this stuff in 2023 as of yet, other than what Karen and her group have done. But at the same time, that's a great contribution to continue with Christina too,
Sure.
as well. Sherry, did I hear you say you want to be a secretary, clerk? Or does somebody else want to do that? You're on mute. You're on mute, you're on mute, you're on mute.
And if nobody else was willing, someone more senior than I am, I was willing to take that position. I was willing to take minutes. I'm gonna, I intend to be at all the meetings, and I hope to be at all the meetings.
Would anyone like to be co-clerk or want to hand it over? I mean, is anyone?
Is anyone else interested? Because, like I said, I'm willing, but if someone else is really, really interested, that would be fine.
My suggestion was that there's value in having continuity for the person who's the clerk in terms of presenting the minutes and having the particular format that they use to do that. I like the idea that perhaps the co-chair, in the absence of the clerk, could step in and take minutes, so that you're not trading off one person doing the minutes one month and a different person doing them the next month. That seems cumbersome to me.
Good point, good point. So would someone like to nominate that slate? And
It sounds like some volunteers have already stepped forward. thankfully.
So I think Susan probably wants somebody to nominate that's not on the slate, and I can't nominate because I'm not officially a voting board member. So if somebody besides those three would like to nominate and then second, then we could vote. Or you
Yeah,
could-
so Joanne, Julie, or Jim put forth the nomination of a slate of myself, Christina, and Sherry, so we can vote.
Is there anyone not present who's on the?
Yeah, Maureen and Maureen Hickey, and I guess that's it, actually, no,
Just Maureen.
just Maureen Hickey, yeah.
Do you think she'd be interested in having the clerk position? I mean, I don't want to step on the toes of someone who's senior.
I don't.
I don't either, I
Okay.
don't either, I mean,
She's on another board that's really busy, so.
Well, I am too.
Yeah.
I run 3 major events a year and participate in everything else that we do, but
But
yeah.
well, she's the, you know, she's like Karen to the Wakefield Housing Authority, so
Okay.
she's, yeah, so she's,
But like I said, it's not a real heavy lift to take minutes at each meeting. I mean, I'd be happy to do that.
thank you, okay.
I'd
So-
be happy to try to propose a slate of officers here that Susan Jepson be the continuing role as chair of the council. And I think was it Christina was going to be the vice chair for the council, and Sherry can be the secretary, or excuse me, the clerk.
Yes.
So that I would offer that slate for us to consider.
I'll second that
Second,
nomination.
okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Hi.
Hi.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, well, congratulations, fellow slate members. And thank you. Thank you all for your caring and concern about it as well. This is May. We will meet in June. Last year, we did not meet in July because Karen was new. And that was but I'm just wondering if anyone has any, we don't have to decide tonight. And Karen, you made a face, so I want to know what you're.
Oh, I think we took August off, and I believe on the town website, it also says that we meet every month except August. So I would propose we stick with that schedule and take August off, but meet. in June.
Okay, all right, that's fine with me. That's fine with me. So let's
Alright.
leave it in place. If you're not going to be here, you're not going to be here.
Christina, I want to tell you right away, in July, I am always gone, a particular week in July.
Okay,
Every single year, we go to a major festival, and on the 12th, I won't be here.
I'll make sure you're covered.
Okay.
you go to Burning Man, where do you go?
No, we go to an enormous bluegrass festival in the Upper Catskills called Grey Fox. We've been going for over 30 years and we're volunteers.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay,
So it's like we're part of the whole family of this huge, amazing festival.
that's great. That's great.
So it's. Anyway, if anyone wants, where all the best bluegrass is in the Boston area, there's a lot. We were out last night.
Yeah, before we adjourn, does anyone, Julie, Jim, this was your first meeting. Anybody have any questions or comments or that have not been expressed at this point? Or needs that you want something, you need something that hasn't been promised to you already?
I think I had asked about the volunteers earlier. We're gonna get to that later.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to touch on that. So no, we don't consider the tax work-off people volunteers. I must have interchangeably used the name. Some of them started off as tax work-off workers, like tax work-off participants, I guess. Sometimes we use volunteers, but they're tax work-off program participants. And then we do have straight up volunteers that do our newsletters. When we mail them out, they fold, label, and stamp them. We have a couple of volunteers who occasionally call bingo for us, and we do have a couple of volunteers who will come in and help at parties or cover the front desk if we ask them to. And we have a couple of 2 nurses, Flo being one, and one of our former tax work-off participants who now continues her time volunteering that run our blood pressure clinic. So we have a great group of volunteers that we use, and we are looking forward to also increasing our staff capabilities by using some tax work-off participants when this season opens up. We're accepting applications through June 30th, and I will start matching people in July. We can match up to 20. I was really proud that we matched 16 this year. That was the most we've ever done. And I'm going to try and match all 20 this year. I'm working with department heads to try and get as many jobs as we can, but we're still recovering post-COVID, so it takes a little bit to build those jobs back up. But that is the goal, to match up, to match 20 people so we can maximize the program and get people out there. So a lot of great services. We use 2 nurses. So we're going to look what people's skills are and see what we have out there so we can have a win-win for the town, for people that can use their skills in the town to help us, and for the seniors who can get the tax break.
Do you have to query all the volunteers?
Yes. I do the queries.
You do the queries. Do board members get queried? I don't remember. I don't think so.
Not to my knowledge. I would have to ask Sherry if board members are queried, but I don't. So I don't, if they are, it's done through human resources or Sherry. You would know if you remember filling out a query form, because you have to authorize to be queried. So if you
Yeah,
didn't fill
no,
out
I
an
don't remember
authorization
filling
form-
out one actually. I mean, for this, yeah, I filled them out for other stuff, Matt.
I haven't been asked for either this
Either.
or the HRC.
Well, this would be the one perhaps, right? Because of the seniors and the vulnerable populations, but it just made me think of that. And okay, Julie, you're gonna come back,
I'll be back.
and Jim, you'll come back?
I'll be back also.
Okay, great. All right. All right. Any final thoughts, Karen? We wish you well, of course, in your continued pursuit of wellness.
No, thank you all. I feel very supported. I appreciate all of your outreach and your support. And Julie and Jim, you can stop by anytime. If I'm not at the center, then Marianne or Maureen or somebody will be happy to show you around. But I've been back there part-time this week, and I'm slowly increasing my hours as my injury allows me to. And when I'm not there, I'm at home. But one of my amazing staff would be happy to show you around, because we've got a great team.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. Motion to adjourn? Anybody?
Motion to adjourn or
Sherry?
second? It's gonna either
Julie?
be
All right,
Joanne or
Julie.
I.
Julie made her first motion. Julie made the motion to adjourn, and Sherry. Okay.
Okay,
All in
I second
favor?
it then.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I didn't mean to twist that. I just
That's okay.
wanted to acknowledge that her hand went up, so. Okay, have a great month, everyone. Enjoy the changing weather, of course.
And I invite everyone, please come to the AmeriCol if you can, between 1 and 4 on May 27th. We have a spectacular program of entertainment. You can learn stuff. You can learn how to do martial arts. You can learn how to Bollywood dance. You can get your hands heavy. You can learn how to do origami or calligraphy. You can learn how to do Chinese ribbon dance. We have so much. You can even learn Chinese yo-yos, which are those double fancy ones. So we have a lot going on. It's very well publicized all over town. And I've even sent I sent flyers to the senior center today and asked them to post it around the senior center as well. But it's, in fact, today it was the top story for the Wakefield website, Jen McDonald, who does social media, and she sent it out to 1,800 people. I said, wow, that's fantastic.
That's
So,
great.
I hope I see some of you then. It's going to be a really fun event.
It sounds great. Sounds great.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.